About 20 minutes ago. That is a clock bell. It's 13,000 pounds as opposed to 2,000 pounds.
Well, let's walk around first.
Deli.
Well, we came here for cheesesteaks, so it's right ahead. This is watch out. We're blocking everybody. King crab. Excuse me.
Look at the sign. It's Jack, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're very...
Okay.
Make us
I only saw one cheesecake place. Or cheesesteak, I mean. Oh, okay. So you just want to use this one?
My dad would have overload. If not, I can stand in there with mom and
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our visit to Independence Hall, we wanted to take a moment to ask whether there was anyone who would like to have a copy of our park brochure. The brochure contains a new school walking map as well as some important information about the park's plans. So we have those which are available. And folks,
Oh, we're actually gonna go through the doors.
actually get a tour, get to hear more.
I know. Is that what it was? Oh, it smells great in here. Oh my god. Yes, great.
You got your smell.
It does.
It's seriously musty.
What's that?
It's seriously musty.
Yeah. They had really modern carpet.
What'd you say?
They had really modern carpet.
And vents. Do you have those vents? I don't know what this is, but that's the main one right there.
It's tiny in there.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and indeed a privilege to welcome everyone to the former Pennsylvania State House Independence Hall. Many years ago, this building contained all three branches of the Pennsylvania government. Folks, when people visit Independence Hall, they often ask, they often wonder, what, if anything, is original in this building? Folks, if you take a look around, today we are still surrounded by close to 75% of the original woodwork and molding. And they estimated that in terms of the exterior portion, that altogether at closer to 90% of the brickwork that's in place. Ladies and gentlemen, in your opinion, are these the original colors? Are these the actual colors? Yes. You say absolutely yes. That's absolutely correct. You have evidence that these are in fact the beige from the careful removal of roughly between 40 and as many as 50 layers of ink. This is what the colors are. The various parts of the building. Would anyone care to identify a functionality that's within the room? What actually happened in this room? This might have got real answer. Yeah, we had witness box, exactly. And it was a court, back in the highest court, for Pennsylvania, served in this room. Folks, you would not agree with this, but I would like to argue that to the columns, that the courtroom represents a freedom. Because under British rule, the colonists inherited numerous rights. It was in this box where the accused stood trial. One of the rights that the accused enjoyed was the right to a trial by jury, held by a jury of most years, a jury council. Shots have just been fired on a battlefield in Massachusetts. With those shots that were fired at Lexington and Concord, famous shots all around the world, with those opening shots, the war for independence officially began. Despite the fighting, delegates continued serving for close to a year before ultimately agreeing to create a document which could tell the whole world the reasons behind the revolution. And they refer to this document as the Declaration of Independence. Folks, I have to confess to everyone that this is merely a $5 copy from our gift shop. It's not a bad copy, but a copy. Is there anyone who would like to name the author of the Declaration of Independence? Who actually was the writer of the Declaration? Yes, it was Jefferson. Jefferson was the primary author, Thomas Jefferson. And as you look at this copy, do you recall how Jefferson listed the various charges against the king? Charges over taxation without the representation in Parliament. He also condemned the housing of troops in the homes of the people without their permission. What we remember even more fondly is how Jefferson also raised some pretty radical ideas about freedom. One of the most radical ideas was the notion that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are
Created equal.
created equal. One of the most profound and inspiring arguments in modern times. Well, so we've all had the experience before, as I don't feel that you're alone, because Jefferson endured the same experience. He did the hard work. The man had to sit back and watch while each man picked up his quill, and with their quills they read his word, they criticized it, and with their quills they corrected his declaration. Multiple corrections were made. Did Jefferson appreciate that? No. In fact, he said, this Congress, they mangled my document. However, despite those changes, in July, a country was founded right here in Philadelphia. Now, members of Congress, I don't want to spoil our enthusiasm. We have to back up these words by fighting the war. And during this long struggle, was there a country that helped America fight for its independence from Great Britain? Yeah, thank you, France. Have you our number one ally? Thank you, France. Do we have any other allies? What about the country right next to France, right below France? Spain was also militarily involved, and the Netherlands, the Dutch, they provide financial support. This will become a global struggle. It is very tragic, folks, but in the process, the war divided families, and the war also divided communities. One particular family that was divided over the cause of independence. Is this guy? Yes, we have Benjamin Franklin. Folks, while Mr. Franklin was putting his signature to the Declaration, Mr. Franklin's son, William, at the time, he was serving as the royal governor for New Jersey. He was appointed directly by the king. Well, the father was supporting independence. Who do you think the son was supporting? He supported Britain, and the two men never did reconcile. Eventually, Franklin's son left America. He is actually buried in the city of, just an example of a family, divided over the cause of independence. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a slight dilemma here, and I need your help to solve this dilemma. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson eloquently writes that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. However, at the same time, in 1776, was everyone treated equally? No. Absolutely not. And this is what they call a paradox. Have you heard the good news, folks? The good news is that the Declaration of Independence is a document of promise. The promise doesn't happen overnight, but ultimately, this promise will spread to encourage freedom to all people. Folks, I would like to apologize for what just happened here. Apparently, we've been talking for a very long time. We've been talking for so long that 11 years have just gone by. And most apparently, the year is now 1787. If you look around the room, folks, delegates that just gathered here from 12 of the 13 states. They're here to correct a document called the Articles of Confederation, a document in which the states had most of the power. During their time, they're going to replace the Articles with a strong central government under the U.S. Constitution. Folks, all of the tables and chairs that you see are items that date back to the 18th century. But I have to tell you that today, there's only one item in this room that was actually present back in 1787. This Does anyone happen to know what object that is? Yeah, we have the chair in the front of the room. Well, that was the very chair that was used by George Washington. He sat in that very chair back in 1787. So while GW was sitting in that chair, the delegates came together and they debated with each other. They argued very passionately, and they also compromised over the three branches of government with their equal checks and powers. During their time here, they also took the best idea from the Virginia plan, they took the best idea from the New Jersey plan, and they compromised in making it two houses in the legislature. And during their time here, they also made the important compromises over the powers and the responsibilities of the president. And I'm not sure if you agree with this, but a tremendous miracle occurred here. The miracle was that the founders had the ability to see into the distant future. And what they saw was that in the future, that America would grow and change. And that with the future, the opinions about ideas would also change. Therefore, they designed the Constitution to also reflect those future changes. Well, what was that process called, where you make changes to the Constitution? Amendment process. We begin to amend the document. We continue to grow as a people. The Constitution can also reflect those changes. Well, before I stop yakking at you, I would like to ask one final question. What was Benjamin Franklin staring at on the back of George Washington's chair? Staring at the sun on the back of the chair. For those of you who can't see it, I have a copy to show you. You're right, he was actually staring at an image of the sun on the back of Washington's chair, an image of a half sun. As they were shaping the Constitution, Franklin used this as a metaphor as to whether or not the nation would represent a rising or a setting nation. Could these men unite and write a Constitution? Well, Franklin tells us that it wasn't until they signed the Constitution in this room that he had the happiness to know that this is a rising and not a setting sun. And that was his way of expressing his optimism. These men could overcome their differences and be united, and perhaps this would be rising and not a setting republic. Well, I'd like to thank you for your visit today. Our program is basically concluded. As you visit other areas, please use the available doors in the rear of the building. And if you have any questions, we'll try to answer all questions as we go to the rear of Independence Hall.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. The glasses.
What is that there?
Look at the nails.
I know that's good about how they're like rectangles. I mean, those are original. Because like us, you don't have a ticket. That guy was kind of cool. I mean,
Yep. He was good.
yeah. I mean, I know he does that a lot, but he did a good job.
Yep. Well, let's walk down the middle, see what else we can see, and then I'm gonna go.